sound bites and we get into the real issues. For my own part, it has been an honor for me to represent this community in Washington for almost 6 years now. And I think of the two things that I'm proudest of doing there in this time. First, having a hand in bringing $600 million of your tax dollars back to northeastern Pennsylvania. Money that comes into the community to help create jobs and better jobs. Very proud of that and want to continue that work. And secondly, the fact that I have been repeatedly recognized as the top Democrat in the U.S. House for reaching across the aisle and getting things done. I do that on purpose because I promised to. When I went to Congress 6 years ago, I promised to not be part of the bickering and the constant fighting that goes on there, but to get together and get things done. Going forward, I want to continue to fight for Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and keeping people with pre-existing conditions covered with health insurance and bringing down the skyrocketing cost of prescription meds. We can do that by allowing Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices. I want to keep fighting for veterans, and I want to do something that we haven't done so far in this Congress, and that is we have to invest in our nation. We have to build up our American infrastructure. We'll put a bill on President Trump's desk that invests at least $1 trillion in our roads and our bridges, our water systems and our sewer systems and broadband internet for rural places like Pennsylvania. We can do this. Send me back to the Congress, and these are the things that I want to continue to work on. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Mr. Cartwright. Mr. Chrin, your opening statement.
Good evening, and thanks to our hosts, moderators, my wife Maria, and all of you joining us this evening. I'm John Chrin, and I live in Monroe County. I'm a self-made political outsider, 10th generation Pennsylvanian, the grandson of a Shamokin coal miner and a Bethlehem steelworker. I was born, educated, and lived the first 25 years of my life in northeastern Pennsylvania. I learned to hunt and fish on White Deer Lake with my grandfather. Wayne and Pike counties are beautiful communities with wonderful people. They're not swaths of real estate, as my opponent has referred to them. I grew up in a working class family attending Pennsylvania public schools. I understand that hard work is the cornerstone of success, that if you want something, you work for it. My opponent grew up in Canada, attending elite private schools with a silver spoon in his mouth. It's disingenuous that he's tried to make residency an issue rather than focus on real issues in his record. A record of supporting the radical left, voting 96% of the time with Nancy Pelosi while supporting sanctuary cities and open borders. My opponent is not a moderate, as he'd like to believe. I look forward to telling you how my experience, knowledge, and values will benefit you to increase prosperity and protect Social Security. Unlike my opponent, I'm not an attorney, or am I a career politician. I actually favor term limits. I'm against partial birth abortion, and I'll defend the Second Amendment. I'm an engineer, a banker, and when elected, I will be the first certified financial planner ever in the history of the United States Congress. I'll take common sense, business sense, and a good heart to Washington to represent all 5 counties of the new 8th Congressional District. Thank you.
I've been in the Congress for almost 6 years. I made it onto the Appropriations Committee. It's a place from which wonderful things have been done for northeastern Pennsylvania. It's a playbook I want to follow, and I'm proud to represent this area. At the same time, we have my opponent who basically skydived into northeastern Pennsylvania and started telling us about his northeastern Pennsylvania values right away, and he was still gathering up his parachute in July when he started running these really awful ads about me, attacking me, telling people that I was responsible for heinous crimes in Philadelphia. It was awful. Insults, distractions, distortions, straight up lies. Well, there's one thing I can tell you about the values of northeastern Pennsylvania, and they do not include those things. Insults, distractions, distortions, straight up lies. We don't raise our children like that in northeastern Pennsylvania. That's one reason Mary and I decided to raise our kids in northeastern Pennsylvania, and we have lived here for over 30 years. Here in northeastern Pennsylvania, we build each other up. We don't tear each other down. We value taking care of our seniors, not shoring up Social Security by taking money out of seniors' cost of living adjustments. And that's an old formula, that idea, change CPI. I've been protesting against that since I started in Congress in 2013. Our values include taking care of the sick, protecting people with pre-existing conditions, having a real plan to reduce the cost of prescription meds, like allowing Medicare to negotiate with it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been the honor of my life to represent this community and show off our values in Washington, and I do hope you give me the chance to stay there and keep doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Cartwright. And Mr. Chrin, you have the last word.
Thank you. This is an election where the voters are going to have a very sharp contrast between two individuals. If you're somebody who likes higher taxes, more job-killing regulations, unaffordable health care, and sanctuary cities and open borders, you're going to want to vote for my opponent. If you agree like I do, that lower taxes, less regulations, affordable health care, and protecting Social Security and strong borders are important, then I'm your guy. I also think that this is an election that as you go and think about your values, northeastern Pennsylvania values, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or independent, are you somebody that really associates with the values and policies of Nancy Pelosi and Maxine Waters? Having grown up here and living here, I would respectfully submit that those are not our values. Yet my opponent has consistently voted for those values and policies. He'd like you to believe that he's a moderate bipartisan individual. He isn't. I've had the opportunity to ask people in the Republican Party, have you known Matt Cartwright? Do you know who he is? And they look and they say, we don't know who he is. So all the bills that have supposedly been passed that he's worked on, they don't seem to have made it to the top of the chain in terms of what's taking place. Look, as an engineer, banker, and certified financial planner, I have the skill set, experience, and vision to increase the economic prosperity and well-being of northeastern Pennsylvania. I'd like to go to Washington again, as I said before, take common sense, business sense, and a good heart to represent you in Washington. Look, what the congressman described as far as appropriations and dollars that come back to the district, that's not the way it works anymore. It worked like that when Joe McDade was there and you were able to get money to come back. We now need to look at the private sector to bring in jobs. I'm the person who understands how the private sector works best, and I will be the person to bring those opportunities here. I humbly request and ask for your vote on November 6th.
Thank you, Mr. Chrin.